Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of The Package Tourist, hosted by yours truly, the Package Tourist, and the magical mystery tour called Life, Matthew DiBiase. Tonight's guest is children's author Judy Dobson. Judy lives in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, and for a time, she worked in database development and administration until she became a mother. Since then, she has devoted her life to raising her children while staying active in various volunteer efforts for the Bloomsburg school system. In 2022, she released her first work, Bear's Christmas Surprise. And in 2023, she released her latest book, Bear's Picnic Basket Surprise. Tonight, we will be discussing and paying tribute to Judy's literary career. Judy, welcome to the show. It's a great honor and privilege to have you here. And I'd like to start off by asking you, Judy, what led you to become a children's author?
Well, honestly, my husband. I loved writing short stories all the time. And I had a neighbor who was an author, and she read over it, and she told me, you should really get this story published. Well, honestly, I never did. I had it all edited, ready to go, but I'm like, it's just a short story. I need to do something else. So I thought, after watching many Hallmark movies, I'm like, I could probably write a love story. So I started doing like a mystery, thriller, romance type of book, but it wasn't going where I wanted to. So I was like, you know what? Let's try something new. So I tried a children's book. So I sat there and I wrote and wrote and wrote all day long. And when I finished it, I sent it to my husband and I said, read this. Tell me what you think. He loved it. And he said, you know what? We should get this published. And so that was the start of my children's book writing.
So your first book, so it only took you like a day to write the story?
Yes, the first one only took me a day to write.
Wow, okay. So, Judy, are your books conventionally published or are they self-published?
They're self-published. We went with the Amazon.
Yes, KDP. Yeah, I use that too. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Yes.
Very easy to do.
Okay. Now, Judy, please tell our listeners about Bear. Why did you choose to feature this particular animal in your two books?
Well, I have a very dear stuffed animal that is a bear, and his name is Bear because, as a kid, that was the best thing I could come up with at the time. And he has been through many adventures with me. I've had him since I was 6 years old. And yeah, we weren't a very rich family, and I wanted a Winnie the Pooh stuffed animal. And, well, we couldn't afford Winnie the Pooh because, brand name, they're a little more expensive. So my mom found this bear, and he was, kind of close to Winnie the Pooh. She thought I would love him, and she was right. He is by far almost like a best friend to me. And it's very funny because my husband tries to steal him on a regular basis, where he even dedicated April 7th as Take Your Bear to Work Day. My husband works from home, so it's okay for him to take Bear to work. He has a chair set up in his office and gives him his own little iPad to use and everything. So Bear is a very loved, stuffed animal by all. If I'm having a bad day, my kids know to go and get Bear, and Bear comes and sits with me. Or like when I had knee surgery, Bear was sitting there right with me, keeping me company so I wasn't alone.
Tell me where you live in Bloomsburg. I looked on the map. That's kind of like north central Pennsylvania. Are there a lot of bears in that area in the wild there in where you live?
I wouldn't say a lot, but it's funny you should say that because just the other night we had one go through our backyard.
Nah, okay.
We have some around here. It's not a lot. You don't see them all the time, but, they do occasionally come out. And when my kids were really little, I was on my mom's back porch, and she only lives maybe a half hour from where I currently live. And my nephew kept saying to me, look at the bear in the backyard, look at the bear in the backyard, and I thought he was joking. I turned my head. There was a bear in the backyard. I grabbed him and my daughter, and I threw them in the house. I'm like, get in. We got to get in. And it was probably about a 400-pound bear. It was a very large bear.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Was it a black or a brown bear?
It was a brown bear, so it wasn't, it wasn't anything I mean, it was probably only maybe 75 feet from us.
Wow.
But he was very focused on the bird feeders, so we weren't too worried.
Okay. Now, does the character Bear have any friends in either one of your books?
Actually, he has the same friends in both books. He has his best friend, Bonnie Bunny, who is his confidant, all of that. And then he has his other friends, Oliver Owl, Sammy Squirrel, and Randy Raccoon.
Ah, okay. Now, Judy, please tell our listeners, what is the moral of Bear's Christmas Surprise?
So the moral of the story is to basically look out for your friends, because you never know what they're going through. They may look happy on the outside, but underneath they're hiding something that they need help with. And in Bear's story, he needed help from his friends to cheer up again, because he was very sad at Christmas time.
Okay. Now, what is the moral of Bear's Picnic Basketball Surprise?
Picnic
basket surprise.
Picnic basket surprise. The moral is to always be prepared for unexpected situations, and by working as a team, helping solve the unexpected problem with a positive outcome.
Okay. Now, who did the illustration? Who does the illustrations in your books?
We hired someone that we found online. We went through a whole list of different people, and this woman just seemed the most qualified. I believe she's from Egypt. I don't know her name offhand because my husband handled all of that. But she does a really nice job, and it takes a lot of me sending her exact details of what I'd like to see in the page, and then her trying to, I guess, translate that into, how she interprets it. And it's back and forth quite a bit till we get where we want to be.
So you see, you maintaining the relationship for your future publications then?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Judy, when you were growing up, what children's stories did your folks read to you when you were a child?
Do you remember the Golden Books? Like Scruffy, the Tugboat, Pokey Little Puppy.
No, not really. No, not really.
Well, they were a whole bunch of the Golden Book stories. They had all just little stories that always had a moral at the end of them. And those are the stories we read, and I actually still have some of the copies of them that my kids had, and someday I hope to give to my grandchildren.
Okay. What children's stories did you read to your kids when you were raising them?
Well, my older daughter loved the story Sleepy Time Oli. It was a story from the Roly Poly Oli show on Disney. And my younger daughter was big into hedgehogs, so we had all kinds of little hedgehog stories, but her favorite one was called Ouch.
Okay.
As you can imagine, it's a hedgehog so pinchy, everything's stuck to him, and so.
Okay. Now, did your kids have any input with your first two books? I mean, did they contribute any ideas, anything like that?
No, actually, but I made them read them for me. I'm like, you guys have to read these and tell me what you think, and if you think I need to change something, let me know. Because my kids are older. Right now, they're 20 and 24, so they're kind of like my editors. When I finish writing, I make them read it.
Okay. Now, are you a grandmother or not yet? Not yet.
Oh, no, not yet.
Okay.
Now, the one just graduated from college not too long ago, and the other one is still in college, so we're not rushing anything.
Do they have the writing bug like you have or anything like that? Any of the kids have the writing bug?
My younger one was into that, but now she's more into theater stuff, like doing lighting and the tech side of theater. And my older one does. She's on the same road as my husband. She does information security.
Okay. Judy, let's talk about yourself. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in, don't laugh, it's called Strong, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yes, it's a very strange name. It's a very tiny little village that it only has 4 streets, and if you blink, you basically miss it. You've driven right through the town. Okay. But it's in the center of coal region.
Okay.
So it's a very close-knit community. Everybody follows the football team, the Mount Carmel Tornadoes, and every year that they would make it to the States, the joke was, last person to leave town, turn off the lights.
Now, where'd you go to school?
Well, for high school, Mount Carmel High School, and then to college, I went to Bloomsburg University.
Okay. What was your major there at Bloomsburg?
Management Information Systems.
Ooh,
so
okay.
Writing is a whole different area from where I went to school for.
Okay. Now, as you said, once you had children of your own, you suspended your professional career. Have you resumed your regular work career, or are you contemplating an eventual return to a working career?
Well, I'm focusing just on doing, books here and there, and my husband and I, we have our own business, so I help him out with whatever he needs, and then we also help support a cybersecurity conference every year in the summer, and I help doing whatever kind of ordering needs to be done or emails need to be sent out, things like that. So we kind of have our own business that we, do a lot of work for.
What type of feedback have you gotten back from readers and fans, from your works? Can you share with our audience what type of feedback you've been getting?
Actually, I've gotten quite a bit of positive feedback. Most of the people who bought my books have been close friends or people that I did volunteer work with. They heard that I bought books, and they're like, "Oh, well, I know someone who has young kids. Let me get them, and you can autograph them for them." It was actually the first time I autographed a book, and it was so exciting. And then the elementary school where my children went, the principal there had me come in for their book fair, and at that point I only had the one book. I had the Christmas one, and she had it on display, and people were buying it, and they'd come up and sign it. And the one little girl, she's like, "I want to be a writer too," which made me feel so good. She's like, "Can I please take a picture with you?" It was a very exciting time.
That's beautiful. That's fantastic. Who knows? You probably have lit the spark at someone,
I hope so. I really hope so. She was very sweet, and she's like, "I want to write stories too, just like you." I'm like, "Oh, that makes me feel so good."
Don't laugh. Each year I visit my cousin of mine. She teaches at a church school in Maryland, and she teaches fifth graders, and I always go down. It's always in February, and I always talk to the kids. I tell them that I am a sports author and all that with books of my own, and I bring my books with me just to let them look at it. And sometimes some of the kids will ask me, well, how much money do you make off this? What's it like? What's the process and all that? So who knows? Sometimes I'm wondering if I am sowing the seeds,
Yeah, absolutely. And I would never laugh. I think that's a great story.
Yeah. Judy, please tell our audience, where can readers find your books?
Well, they are on Amazon. You can either put in my name, Judy Dobson, or you can type in the titles of the books, and they will come up for you.
Now, do you have a personal web link where you can share with our audience where they can also access information about your books?
Not yet. I am in the process of making one of those up as we speak, so hopefully soon I will have one of those.
Okay. Judy, whenever I interview an author on my show, I always love to ask the standard question. Who were your favorite authors when you were growing up? And of those favorite authors, did any of them light the spark inside you to become a writer or perhaps influence your writing style?
Well, my favorite author is Stephen King. So the short stories I was telling you about, they were all horror stories. So it's like a big difference from, horror stories to children's stories, But I always loved his work, and funny, I also liked Edgar Allan Poe. So again, kind of, that dark side of things.
Out of curiosity, now you said before you went into children's, you were working on your own short stories and all that. Do you think you might, in other words, instead of writing more children's books, you might try again at a more adult genre of some sort?
Oh, yes. I've already started I went back to my romance mystery thriller, I guess you could say. So I am, now I'm like, I only have a couple chapters done, and every time I go to write it, I start back at the beginning and read it. I'm like, oh, nope, don't like that, got to change that. So I'm hoping to finish that by next year, because I would really like to get a full novel out there. And all the short stories, like the ones I was just saying, the horror ones, I am editing those, and I'm hopefully going to put those all into a book, like all in one big book of just a bunch of short stories.
Okay. And so you think like next year, a release next year perhaps?
For those, yes, but I do have one that's going to be coming out here, another children's one, probably within the next 3 weeks, because I'm in the final stages of doing the editing and making sure everything is lining up properly and stuff like that.
So will it be our old friend Bear again?
Yes, it is Bear's Halloween Surprise.
Oh my. Oh wow. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So Judy, I want to thank you so much for appearing on the show. In fact, if you're going to put out something next year, I'm looking for guests for next year's shows. I'd love to have you on again. You're always welcome.
Well, thank you very much, and I really appreciate you having me on your show. This is fantastic.
Yes, again, please let me know, and I'll slot you in for late next year, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, you take care.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, for next week's show, where I will be interviewing author Toby Dorr. Thank you and good night.